Countless nascent soul cultivators entered Devilfall Valley, and none ever returned, a place where greed guarantees death and even legends fear to tread. Now a single core formation cultivator dares to ask the forbidden question: is 100 years of cultivation worth risking your life? If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. When the woman appeared before Han Li, her name surfaced naturally in his mind. She was Mei Ning, the same woman who had once journeyed with him from the Umbra realm all the way to Heavenly South. Several years had passed since they last met, and yet time seemed only to have favored her. Her beauty had grown more refined, her bearing gentler and more captivating than before. This junior was only able to reach her current level of cultivation thanks to the pills senior bestowed upon me in the past, Mei Ning said softly, her tone respectful and sincere. At that moment, Cultivator Song stepped forward from behind Han Li and spoke in a familiar, almost intimate manner. Little Sister Mei is fellow Taoist Violet Spirit inside. Her words caused Han Li to glance at her in mild surprise. Not daring to slight either of them, Mei Ning quickly composed herself and replied apologetically, Senior Song, Elder Sister Violet Spirit is currently cultivating in her room. However, she should be finishing her cycle soon. Why don't the two of you wait in my quarters for now? Han Li raised no objections. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he could already detect the fluctuations of Violet Spirit's spiritual ki indeed. She was on the verge of completing her cultivation cycle. Under Mei Ning's modest invitation, the two entered one of the stone dwellings nearby and took their seats. Mei Ning promptly prepared tea for them, her movements practiced and graceful. Han Li took a sip, the fragrance lingering faintly on his lips, before asking calmly, Lady Mei, where have you and Violet Spirit been cultivating these past few years? Could it be that neither of you has yet joined a sect? Standing beside him, Mei Ning lowered her gaze slightly and replied, Elder Sister Violet Spirit and I discussed this matter long ago. We decided to first observe the great sects of Heavenly South and consolidate our cultivation before making a final choice. As such, we have spent these past years traveling. After all, Heavenly South differs greatly from our original homeland. Seeing that Mei Ning made no effort to conceal her identity as a foreign cultivator, Han Li immediately understood his martial niece Song must already know that the two women hailed from the scattered star seas. Their relationship was clearly far closer than he had initially assumed. Yet faced with Mei Ning's gentle demeanor and sincere manner, Han Li found it awkward to continue pressing the matter. He rubbed the bridge of his nose lightly, then turned toward Cultivator Song with a faint smile. You didn't bring me here on Violet Spirit's behalf merely to reminisce about old times, did you? Otherwise, there would have been no need to be so secretive and hesitant just to deliver a letter. Martial Uncle I. Cultivator Song's cheeks flushed slightly as she hesitated, swallowing her words. Mei Ning also revealed a trace of embarrassment. Just as she was about to speak, a clear, melodious laugh sounded from outside the room. Brother Han, there's no need to make things so difficult for these two little sisters. To be honest, this invitation was mostly my idea. As her voice faded, Fairy Violet Spirit stepped inside. Compared to before, her beauty had grown even more breathtaking, her features exquisitely refined, her eyes luminous as stars reflected upon still water. In truth, I should address Brother Han as senior, now Violet Spirit said with a smile. However, calling you brother feels more fitting. After all, your age isn't necessarily greater than mine. Brother Han surely won't mind. Having crossed paths with her in Heaven Void Hall, the Umbra Realm, and later the Endless Seas, Han Li regarded Violet Spirit not merely as an acquaintance, but as a close friend. He gave her an appraising glance. Despite having reached the nascent soul stage, his spirit still trembled faintly at the sight of her true appearance. She was without question a beauty capable of toppling kingdoms, one spoken of only in legends. In terms of sheer beauty alone, even his beloved Nangong Wan fell an entire tier below her. Of course, Nangong Wan's calm temperament and subtle charm belonged to an entirely different realm. One could not truly compare the two. It makes no difference to me, Han Li said lightly. However, if Lady Violet Spirit were to leave this valley with her true appearance exposed, chaos would surely follow throughout Heavenly South. Should any of those old eccentrics lay eyes upon you, I fear they might attempt to seize you by force. It was only before this old friend that Han Li would allow himself such a rare jest. Violet Spirit smiled faintly, casting him a sidelong glance before turning to Cultivator Song. I've troubled you greatly, big sister Song. Mei Ning and I would have found it quite difficult to enter Sky First City on our own. It's nothing at all, Cultivator Song replied hurriedly. Since I'm already involved in this matter, lending a bit of effort is only natural. Despite her words, she still appeared somewhat dazed. Though she knew Violet Spirit and Han Li were old friends, seeing them converse so casually greatly exceeded her expectations, and it strengthened her confidence in the matter that lay ahead. At that moment, Violet Spirit turned back to Han Li, smiling sweetly as she spoke in a seemingly casual tone. Every time I see Brother Han, your cultivation seems to have advanced by leaps and bounds. That mysterious cultivation art of yours is truly astonishing. And now your reputation echoes throughout Heavenly South. Rumors claim your strength surpasses even that of a mid-nascent soul cultivator. Is that truly the case? As she spoke, her smile grew faintly enigmatic, her eyes betraying a subtle hint of anticipation. Hanley's heart stirred. After a brief moment of contemplation, he did not answer directly. Instead, he asked calmly, Lady Violet Spirit, why is the first thing you ask me about my strength? Isn't that a bit too hasty? Before we discuss anything else, tell me, why did you seek me out in the first place? Hearing this, Violet Spirit blinked, a trace of embarrassment crossing her face. You're right, I was impatient, she admitted softly. But that is only because this matter is of utmost importance. If you truly possess strength at the mid-nascent soul stage or above, then our plan may actually succeed. Hanley's gaze darkened slightly as the smile faded from his face. What matter could be so important? He asked evenly. If you require my help, you might as well speak plainly. Violet Spirit's expression turned solemn. It seems there's no need for further concealment. Brother Han has already guessed. Yes, we truly came to seek fellow Taoist Han's aid. But before that, I must ask you one thing. Not long ago did fellow Taoist Han accompany several nascent soul eccentrics to the Mulan Plains and obtain Master Kang Kun's remains. Hanley was taken aback. How do you know of this? He asked. This matter should be known to only a few. Mei Ning smiled sweetly and explained. We learned of it from a cultivator of the Ghost Spirit sect. He belongs to the direct lineage of one of their elders. After he accidentally saw elder sister Violet Spirit's true appearance, he became utterly captivated. There was nothing he wouldn't divulge. Nonsense. Violet Spirit snorted lightly, her cheeks flushing. What absurd things are you saying? It was clear the two had grown quite close over the years. Hanley nodded slowly, suspicion surfacing in his eyes. If the Ghost Spirit sect is involved, he said, then this matter cannot be ordinary. Violet Spirit's eyes shimmered as she replied with a light laugh. I didn't expect Brother Han to remain so cautious even after reaching the nascent soul stage. I only entered the nascent soul stage recently, Han Li replied calmly. If I don't wish to die, caution is only natural. But tell me, why does it matter that I went to the Mulan Plains in search of treasure? Could it be that you uncovered yet another secret from the Ghost Spirit sect? Before Violet Spirit could answer, Cultivator Song interjected, unable to contain herself. Martial Uncle is truly insightful, she said solemnly. This matter involves a treasure hidden within Devilfall Valley. The Ghost Spirit sect disciple revealed it unintentionally while speaking with us. Hanley's expression turned strange. Devilfall Valley, he repeated. If I recall correctly, only Master Kang Kun ever managed to leave that place alive. How could the Ghost Spirit sect know of a treasure within it? Could you have been deceived? Violet Spirit shook her head, her eyes gleaming. That is not the case. Out of curiosity, we joined hands to employ a charming technique. Not only did we obtain the treasure's name, but we also learned its approximate location. As for how the Ghost Spirit sect learned of it, even that man was unaware. Still, I believe this matter is genuine. Hanley frowned deeply. If that is true, he said slowly, then this must be an extraordinary ancient treasure. What is it that you covet so desperately? The three women exchanged glances in silence. At last, Cultivator Song spoke in a solemn tone. Martial Uncle Han, have you ever heard of the Spirit Kindle Fruit? Hanley's composure finally broke, astonishment flashing across his face. What? The Spirit Kindle Fruit? If I remember correctly, that fruit should have gone extinct long ago. However, Devilfall Valley has remained sealed since antiquity. Perhaps it truly still exists within. Seeing his reaction, Violet Spirit continued softly. Then Brother Han must also know of the Nature Origin Pill. According to legend, anyone who consumes it can break through any bottleneck short of the deity transformation stage. It is also said that cultivators who take this pill experience a transformation of their spiritual sense, ascending to an inconceivable level. Though accounts vary greatly from person to person, one fact remains consistent throughout the ages. Those who consumed the pill were able to shatter their cultivation bottlenecks. Countless ancient records mention the great name of this spirit pill. It is truly a pity that its main ingredient, the Spirit Kindle Fruit, was already exceedingly rare even in antiquity. Though the pill formula was preserved, it lay unused for countless eras. Though they had heard this before, cultivator Song and Mei Ning could not help but feel their hearts race once more. Mei Ning in particular was visibly stirred. The nature origin pill could dramatically increase her chances of reaching the core formation stage. Yet as their excitement rose, Han Li's own gradually cooled. After a long moment of contemplation, he finally spoke calmly. If the Spirit Kindle Fruit truly lies within Devilfall Valley, then it explains why the Ghost Spirit sect went to such lengths, hiring nascent soul treasure hunters, and even killing Marcus Nanlong to seize Master Kang Kun's legacy. However, he continued, his gaze steady. There are still matters I do not understand. You must explain them clearly. Otherwise, no matter how tempting this fruit may be, I will not risk my life for it. Brother Han, please don't hesitate to ask anything, Violet Spirit said gently. This matter is far too important for us to allow even the slightest oversight. Seeing how composed Han Li remained, even after the mention of the nature origin pill, Violet Spirit couldn't help but feel a trace of admiration rise in her heart. Han Li stroked his chin thoughtfully before asking, although I did make a trip to the Mulan Plains, why was it that you chose to seek me out? The person who should understand Devilfall Valley best ought to be Marcus Nanlong. Unless you know of some other method to enter the valley. Violet Spirit smiled wryly. I know full well that Marcus Nanlong possesses the method to enter Devilfall Valley. However, given his temperament, at least according to rumors, how could I dare to discuss such a secret matter with him? She replied slowly. As for Brother Han, we know you to be someone who values old friendships and never forgets past bonds. Compared to others, we feel far more at ease placing our trust in you. She paused briefly before continuing. Regarding the method of entering the valley, that same Ghost Spirit sect disciple told me that their sect has been researching it for quite some time. Their progress is nearing completion. Although he himself did not know the details, he was certain of one thing: the Ghost Spirit sect will act during the next period when the spatial tears within Devilfall Valley stabilize. Her expression grew hesitant. Of course, if Brother Han's cultivation is insufficient, then we can simply abandon the matter. After all, even if one manages to enter the valley safely, who knows what catastrophic dangers might lie within? Han Li fell silent, pondering for a long while. At last he sighed softly. So the Ghost Spirit sect also possesses a method to enter Devilfall Valley. This is the first I've heard of such a thing, he said. From your tone, however, it seems their information is still incomplete. He thought for a moment before speaking again. How about this? There are still several years before the spatial tiers stabilize. During this time, make more thorough inquiries and confirm the truth of this information. If the Spirit Kindle Fruit truly exists within the valley, then I am willing to take the risk. As for cultivation, he added calmly, you need not worry. If I cannot succeed, then even a mid-nascent soul cultivator would fare no better. Han Li deliberately omitted the fact that Marquis Nanlong had already contacted him regarding Devilfall Valley. Though the Spirit Kindle Fruit was undeniably tempting, the matter required further consideration. If the Ghost Spirit sect's method of entry proved safer, there was no need to involve Nanlong at all. Rather than feeling disappointed by Han Li's seemingly vague response, Violet Spirit felt quietly delighted. Given his cautious nature, such words were practically an agreement. Moreover, his tone all but confirmed the rumors regarding his strength. With his current abilities, the chances of obtaining the Spirit Kindle Fruit would be significantly higher. Smiling, she said, to be honest, the reason we sought out Brother Han so urgently was because we feared that without a capable partner, this entire matter would amount to nothing and any further effort would be wasted. But now that Brother Han has agreed, we can finally investigate this matter with peace of mind. She added softly, after all, we also intend to enter Devilfall Valley. None of us wish to treat our lives as a joke. What? Han Li's heart jolted, surprise flashing across his face. You three intend to enter the valley as well? Violet Spirit gave a bitter smile. Does Brother Han think we want to enter such a place? She said helplessly. We have no choice. She continued slowly, her tone heavy. The majority of ancient records only describe the marvelous effects of the Spirit Kindle Fruit. However, there are a few that clearly state its fatal limitation: it cannot survive once picked. It must be refined within half a day. Beyond that point, its medicinal power rapidly declines, and after 3 days, it completely dissipates. But what is even more terrifying, she said gravely, is the nature origin pill itself. If it is not consumed shortly after refinement, it loses all efficacy. As such, Devilfall Valley is something we must force ourselves to brave. It is far better than remaining stagnant in cultivation for 100, perhaps even several hundred years. Hanley frowned deeply. I've read countless ancient records, he said, yet I have never encountered such limitations regarding the Spirit Kindle Fruit. Why have I never heard of this before? Martial Uncle Han Cultivator Song spoke up respectfully. There exists an ancient secret manual passed down through the ancestors of the Song clan. I happen to possess a copy. As she spoke, she retrieved a jade slip from her storage pouch and offered it with both hands. Hanley was visibly surprised. He glanced at her cautiously, then nodded and accepted it, sending his spiritual sense into the jade slip. The ancient manual recorded various pills and medicinal substances from antiquity, some of which Hanley recognized immediately. It even contained a detailed description of the 9-curl spirit ginseng, along with the very pill formula the bone sage had once given him. There were numerous medicinal pills listed that would be immensely useful to nascent soul cultivators. Though many of their ingredients had vanished since antiquity, such knowledge was invaluable. If he were ever to encounter an unknown spirit medicine in the future, he would at least know how to handle it. It seemed that cultivation clans truly possessed certain legacies that even great sects lacked. With his powerful spiritual sense, Han Li quickly located the entry on the Spirit Kindle Fruit. Sure enough, the jade slip clearly recorded the fruit's limitations as well as those of the nature origin pill. His brows knit together unconsciously. After a short while, he withdrew his spiritual sense. Rather than speaking immediately, he gently rubbed the smooth surface of the jade slip, murmuring to himself in thought. Sensing the moment, Cultivator Song spoke tactfully. I heard elder sister Violet Spirit mention that martial Uncle Han has achieved great attainments in pill refinement. This ancient record holds little value to our Song clan. Though it contains many ancient pill formulas, their primary ingredients are beyond our reach. If martial uncle does not disdain it, she continued earnestly, please accept the jade slip as a gift for agreeing to hear our request. Hanley paused, then looked at her deeply before smiling faintly. I have never been one to accept something for nothing, he said calmly. If the Spirit Kindle Fruit truly exists, I will benefit greatly as well, so there is no need for a reward. In truth, I would likely have ventured into Devilfall Valley regardless. However, he continued, this ancient manual is indeed useful to me. How about this? I'll exchange it for some medicinal pills suitable for your current cultivation. As he spoke, Han Li retrieved a small green bottle from his storage pouch and handed it to Cultivator Song. She accepted it unconsciously, but her expression was hesitant, as though she didn't quite know how to respond. Violet Spirit merely smiled upon seeing this. Since Brother Han has already given it, Violet Spirit said with a chuckle, Big Sister Song should accept it. Brother Han's pill refinement techniques are extraordinary. These pills were likely refined using high-grade demon cores. They will surely elevate your cultivation. There's no need to be overly formal. Hearing this, Cultivator Song's eyes lit up with joy. She repeatedly thanked Han Li before carefully storing the medicine bottle away. Han Li smiled and put the jade slip away. Since the Spirit Kindle Fruit and the Nature Origin pill cannot be preserved, he said, it seems the three of you truly intend to enter Devilfall Valley. If you head directly for the Spirit Fruit and avoid all other areas, there is a reasonable chance of leaving intact. However, before that, you should gather the supplementary materials required for refining the Nature Origin pill. While they are not nearly as rare as the Spirit Kindle Fruit, they will still be difficult to obtain. He sighed softly, his expression solemn. As for the final decision, I will only make it once everything is fully understood. After all, this matter is still some time away. If we are defeated in the war against the Mulan, he added gravely, then Devilfall Valley will be the least of our concerns. At that point, we will be struggling merely to retain our foothold in Heavenly South. The three women were startled by his words. Mei Ning couldn't help but ask, What, Senior Han? You don't seem confident about this war. Han Lai replied non-committally, It's difficult to say. On the surface, the united forces of Heavenly South combined with the advantage of home terrain should be enough to repel the Mulan. Even if the three great cultivators of Heavenly South, along with Long Han and Feng Bing of the Heavenly Dao Alliance, can restrain the Mulan divine sages, those black-robed men remain an unknown factor. They clearly originate from an external power interfering in this war. Their presence could cause something entirely unexpected. Violet Spirit's expression turned grave. "From what you're saying," she murmured, "the odds of victory are evenly matched." "It could be said that way," Han Li replied. "However, the most likely outcome is—" His gaze flickered, and his voice dropped to a near whisper, leaving the three women momentarily stunned. Han Li shook his head lightly. "Enough. No one truly knows how this war will unfold. For now, focus on preparing for Devilfall Valley. When the time comes, we'll see whether it's possible. After all," he said calmly, "who knows what the future holds?" From that point on, Han Li did not dwell further on the matter. Instead, he casually asked about what Mei Ning and Violet Spirit had been doing recently, while also answering their eager questions regarding his escape from the Mulan Divine Sage. In such pleasant company, three graceful beauties gathered together, time seemed to flow all too quickly. By the time Han Li noticed the sky darkening, he rose to take his leave. Cultivator Song departed with him, while Violet Spirit and Mei Ning escorted them to the valley's entrance. As they parted, Han Li noticed Mei Ning hesitate several times, as though she wished to say something. In the end, she merely bit her lip and remained silent. Seeing the faint blush on her cheeks, Han Li felt his heart stir slightly. He turned his gaze toward Violet Spirit, who met his eyes with a mysterious smile. Feeling an inexplicable trace of embarrassment, Han Li dared not linger further. With a brief farewell, he transformed into a streak of azure light, carrying Cultivator Song with him as they flew back toward Sky First City. Han Li and Cultivator Song flew side by side through the sky, yet neither spoke a word. The wind howled softly past them as clouds drifted beneath their feet. Only when Sky First City appeared faintly on the horizon did the woman finally hesitate, then ask in a low voice, "Marshal Uncle Han, countless nascent soul eccentrics have entered Devilfall Valley and never returned. If that is the case, would core formation cultivators truly be able to find the spirit fruit and still return alive?" Han Li was slightly taken aback by the question. The light surrounding them pulsed once, slowing their flight. He turned his head and cast her a surprised glance. After a brief silence, he spoke calmly. "In terms of cultivation alone, you are far inferior to the cultivators who previously sought treasures within the valley. Should you encounter danger, your chances of survival would be vastly lower." He paused, then continued in a measured tone. "However, it is likely not strength alone that caused their deaths, rather it was greed. With so many nascent soul cultivators entering the valley, it is impossible that none could have escaped with one or two treasures. Yet most were blinded by temptation, desiring just one more item, perhaps a spirit medicine to extend their lifespan or shatter a bottleneck. In the end, they lingered too long. Once greed took hold, death was only a matter of time." Cultivator Song's brows furrowed with worry. Then, from Senior's words, she asked softly, "Does that mean we are destined to die?" Han Li shook his head slightly. "If one lacks both a safe route through the valley and a reliable method of entry and exit, then death is nearly guaranteed. Other than Master Kang Kun, no one has ever survived long enough to leave Devilfall Valley. Without such means, entering the valley would be nothing short of suicide." He glanced at her once more. "However, although your cultivation is low, if you restrain your greed and thoroughly investigate the exact whereabouts of the Spirit Kindle Fruit, then with sufficient preparation and a bit of luck, you may yet succeed." Of course, he added gravely, "Devilfall Valley is the most dangerous region within Devilfall Valley itself. You should prepare accordingly and settle your affairs beforehand in case you do not return. As for the Ghost Spirit Sect," Han Li continued, "they must also be aware of the fruit's existence and will certainly act to seize it. Most likely they will rush to be the first to obtain it, fearing that Marquis Nanlong may act faster. I suspect their method of entering the valley carries considerable risk." Alarm flashed across Cultivator Song's face. Since Marshal Uncle already suspected that the Ghost Spirit Sect's method is dangerous, she asked anxiously, "Why didn't you mention it earlier?" Han Li gave a faint smirk. "Would it have been appropriate to say such things in front of everyone?" he asked calmly. "Or do you believe I harbor some ulterior motive?" Startled, she hastily replied, "No, I would never dare doubt Senior. Relax, Han Li said evenly. It is only natural to have doubts. I did not withhold that information out of malice. While this may come as a surprise to you, and Maining Violet Spirit would not be shaken by it in the slightest. He spoke slowly, his tone heavy. You should understand that although the Nature Origin pill is extraordinarily precious, it is actually somewhat wasted on early core formation cultivators like you and Violet Spirit. With your exceptional aptitudes, the two of you would likely reach mid-core formation with time alone. If you take the pill, it will merely save you around 100 years of cultivation. As for Mei Ning, he continued, the pill would greatly increase her chances of entering core formation, thereby extending her lifespan by several hundred years. On one hand, Han Li said quietly, you and Violet Spirit may save yourselves 100 years of cultivation. On the other, you could lose your lives upon entering Devilfall Valley. These are choices only the individual can make. He turned his gaze toward her. I do not know what you will choose, Martial Niece, but Violet Spirit, she will definitely take the risk. 100 years saved in cultivation is another 100 years she can devote to further progress, and she has no intention of remaining merely a core formation cultivator. This greatly increases her chances of reaching the nascent soul stage. Cultivator Song wore a strange expression. Martial uncle means, she asked slowly, that Violet Spirit has already steeled her resolve to become a nascent soul cultivator. Is that why she is willing to brave such deadly danger? Han Li turned his head, gazing at the crimson sky fading into twilight as though recalling distant memories. That's right, he said softly. Violet Spirit's experiences are very different from yours and Mei Ning's. She has been pressured by powerful cultivators time and again, and even had her mother's sect seized from her. Although she never spoke of it after fleeing, he continued, I can faintly sense that her ambition has long surpassed that of an ordinary cultivator. Under Cultivator Song's astonished gaze, Han Li paused briefly as though weighing his words. If the Spirit Kindle Fruit truly exists within Devilfall Valley, he said at last, I will most likely attempt to obtain it as well. At the nascent soul stage, advancing one's cultivation is incomparably difficult. If I do not seize this opportunity, I may find myself permanently trapped at the early nascent soul stage. However, he added firmly, I will not recklessly enter Devilfall Valley without absolute necessity. When the time comes, I will clearly explain what dangers you must be wary of, and point out the risks involved in the Ghost Spirit Sect's method of entry. That said, Han Li continued, everything I've said so far remains speculation. It is also possible that the Ghost Spirit Sect possesses a method even superior to Master Kang Kun's. That uncertainty is another reason I chose not to mention this earlier. Hearing this, Cultivator Song fell silent, yet the light in her eyes showed that she understood. That is enough, Han Li said calmly. I did not originally intend to tell you these things, but since you asked, I answered. Now that we've returned to Sky First City, your foremost task is to survive the upcoming battle. That must be your highest priority. If fate turns against you, he added, something may happen during the war, and Devilfall Valley will no longer be worth considering. The same applies to me. Once I return, I will set this matter aside for more pressing concerns. He gave a self-mocking smile. Cultivator Song felt her heart tremble. She lowered herself in a respectful bow. Many thanks for Martial Uncle's guidance. Han Li waved his hand dismissively. It can hardly be called guidance. Merely words you would have realized yourself with enough time. Let's enter the city. Night is falling. Yes, Martial Uncle. The azure streak of light surged forward once more, piercing through the gates of Sky First City. Several days later, within the drifting cloud sect's encampment, Han Li sat cross-legged inside a hidden chamber layered with heavy restrictions. In his hands floated a massive sword, nearly 15 meters long. He stared at it intently, frowning in deep thought. Strange flames burned upon its surface, purple apex flames entwined with an unfamiliar azure fire, the remnant of the azure lantern. Since returning from his meeting with Violet Spirit, Han Li had asked Lu Luo to introduce him to several nascent soul cultivators who maintained friendly relations with the drifting cloud sect. He consulted each of them regarding this troublesome matter, yet all were equally baffled. Aware of Han Li's formidable reputation, none dared treat the matter lightly. Many even sought to ingratiate themselves with him, and a few shared rather pleasant conversations. Unfortunately, none offered a viable solution. Having gained little, Han Li withdrew to this secluded chamber to address The lingering damage from battle, the azure flames that refused to dissipate. The bamboo cloudswarm swords themselves were unharmed. The azure flames stood in perfect opposition to the purple apex flames locked in a delicate balance. Whatever kind of devil flame this azure fire was, its power was no less astonishing than his own flames. At present, Han Li could suppress it through sheer quantity, but refining it remained a serious problem. If these flames were not removed, he would be unable to wield his bamboo cloudswarm swords properly, nor could he freely draw upon the celestial ice flames or purple apex flames in battle. Staring at the sword, Han Li's gaze wandered. After a long moment, he raised his hand and struck the massive blade with an azure spell seal. The sword rotated once in mid-air, then split apart with a hum, dividing into dozens of smaller flying swords that formed a circular formation. Han Li stirred his spiritual sense. Most of the swords shot back into his body as streaks of azure light. Only a single sword remained floating slowly before him. His eyes narrowed as he examined the intertwined azure and purple flames. Suddenly he opened his mouth and spat out a streak of purple apex flame directly enveloping the sword. The purple flame surged violently, suppressing the azure fire. Under the guidance of his incantation seal, the roiling purple flames slowly forced the azure fire toward the sword's tip, compressing it into a pea-sized orb of azure light. Seeing this, Han Li's expression grew solemn. He took a deep breath and rapidly formed incantation gestures, sending streak after streak of multicolored spell seals into the sword. In an instant, the purple apex flames surged wildly, forming wave after wave that battered the azure light at the tip. The azure flame began to sway violently, as though on the verge of being extinguished. Yet instead of fading, the azure light only grew brighter. No matter how fiercely the purple flames pressed upon it, the azure light stubbornly clung to the sword's tip. A trace of dread flickered through Han Li's eyes as his hand seals grew faster. Moments later, his expression darkened. There was not the slightest change. After a brief pause, an icy glint flashed through his gaze. He raised his hand, which became enveloped in brilliant purple flames, and without the slightest hesitation, he pinched the azure flame directly off the flying sword. That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.